Hey, Steve Mignani here. Before we get to our junkyard crawl video for today, just a heads up, on October 1st, if you're in the Durant, Oklahoma area, I'll be there live at Spanky Assiter's inaugural Freedom Choctaw Collector Car Auction at the Choctaw Casino and Resort Event Center, again in Durant, Oklahoma, where a whole bunch of cool collector cars are going to get sold, many of them at no reserve. And I'll be on the stage live doing commentary. One of the best cars and most special cars in that event is going to be the actual 58 Chevrolet Impala, fully restored, that was once owned by Peggy Sue Gerron. Yes, that Peggy Sue, the star of several Buddy Holly songs. Pretty, pretty, pretty Peggy Sue. That was her 58 Impala. That car is going to get sold at no reserve, again, on October 1st at the inaugural Freedom Choctaw Collector Car Auction in Durant, Oklahoma, October 1st. Be there if you want to take a shot at that car and just check out a great auction. Okay, let's get right into the junkyard crawl here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking. Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts. Now, yesterday we took a look at a 67 Coronet 440 two-door hardtop. Today we're going to continue the Coronet 440 theme with a 67 four-door sedan. Now, the four-door was available, again, as this sedan in the Coronet lineup, but no hardtops. In other words, no pillarless four doors at all in Coronet for 1967. So again, you always had a four door with a pillar. Of course, the Coronet 440 does not mean 440 power. We talked about that yesterday. The only Coronet with a 440 in 67 would be the Coronet RT, strictly two-door hardtop or convertible. Now this one here does say Coronet. We see the ghost of the 440 at the back, so it's a Coronet 440. And another detail that tells us it's a Coronet 440 and not the Coronet Deluxe base model is this full-length molding that goes all the way from the rear bumper to the front bumper. On a Coronet Deluxe, it's not filled in black paint in the middle, it's thinner, and it ends here. Again, the Coronet Deluxe chrome goes back, Coronet 440 comes all the way to the front. So we know it's a 440. Now, as far as the engine's concerned, this is not a 440 car. In fact, it's not even a V8. How do we know that? Well, here on the front fender, it would say V8 for either the 273 or the 318 small blocks or the 383 two-barrel or 383 four-barrel or 426 Hemi, a handful were built, or 440 Magnum on the Coronet RT. Now the beauty of the 66 and 67 Coronets was they were totally redesigned. From 64, the Dodge Polara 440 and 330 were funky looking cars. In 62, there were really weird looking cars. Now here's the deal. 1967, Dodge enjoyed 410,088 car sales, up from 230,000 in 1962. So the styling, the more conventional styling, really went a long way to saving Dodge division. And this is a collectible automobile from August of 1995, right here. And inside is a nice little story on the evolution of the Dodge Coronet styling. And here we have these things at the Dodge Styling Studio, clay models showing some of the near production stuff and dead ends. On the right hand side, of course, that's the two-door post, the Coronet Deluxe, which is my favorite. You could actually get street Hemis in those things in 66, and that to me is the ultimate street Hemi car. And over here on the next page up, we see even more, and that of course on the top is the 65 Charger 2 show car, which is like the 66 Charger but longer. That's a show car, and those wheels are Halabrand wheels that Dodge put on there. And of course, you make your way down, we see the steps toward the finished version of the 66 67 B-body, the rear wheel openings evolving, looking kind of weird, but again, these are styling bucks made of clay, and on the bottom, yeah, that's a 66 Dodge Coronet turbine car. Yeah, they made one. Of course, not for you and me. That was more of an experimental engineering car, but it goes to show that the turbine program lived well beyond the 63 Elwood Engel turbine cars. But getting back to this puppy here, this is a four-door sedan, not a hardtop, once again. The engine in this one, again, no fender emblems means Slant Six, and we can confirm that here by looking at the K-frame, which has a really tall engine mount bracket right here, and that means, of course, Slant Six, because the Slant Six lays over that way 30 degrees, and this has to be elevated somewhat to meet the higher motor mount on the driver's side of the engine. This one does have the optional 3-speed wipers, a $4 upcharge. The standard wiper motor stuck out, and here's the thing, if you have a street Hemi car, you're always going to see this because the standard 2-speed wiper hit the back of the chrome dome air cleaner. Not that's the case here, but again, 3-speed wipers, $4 versus the 2-speed wipers. And we take a peek here at the trim tag, and we see here paint code GG1, which is medium green metallic, and WH41 tells us this is a Coronet 440, which is the mid-range car. Of course, one of our good viewers, Google user GP, who always makes very pertinent notes on this. He's going to dig freezing that frame and telling us all about this car. But again, we can continue our exploration. Now this does have 10-inch drums, and yeah, even the 6-cylinder cars had 10-inch drums right there. They're pretty good. Of course, the RT and the heavy-duty braking package would see an 11-inch drum up there. But again, those 10-inch drums right there are half an inch bigger than Pontiac GTO drums. Yeah, it's one of those things where Chrysler kind of did a lot more with braking than the rest of the industry. But I'm a motor guy, so what am I going to say? It's kind of weird right here. This is the remote rear view mirror. This is $5.45 right here. And there's these 3 cables here. When you move inside, it affects changes in the 3 axes of the planes. So that's not electric, but this again is a $5.45 upgrade over the standard fixed mirror. Let's trade places here. Mr. Shane Richardson, the ace cameraman, and take a peek at the VIN. And, well, look at that. Okay, that's a state-issued Connecticut VIN. In other words, this car perhaps was stolen, or who knows. So that is not the original VIN by any means. We would see a B in the 5th spot for the 225 Slant Six, but again, that's a Connecticut tag. To some folks, that's the kiss of death for a car, like it's a rebuilt wreck or something like that. I don't really worry so much about it. But if you had a 67 Hemi 4-door, not that they made any, but a rare car and that tag is lost, what a shame it is. But on this one, it doesn't matter that much. But again, here we have something interesting. For the last year, 1967, this is the original 14-inch wheel with a 9.5-inch hubcap circle and these weird little secondary holes between the studs. This wheel would give way to the 8-inch smaller hubcap center in 68, and these little holes would go away. These little holes right here could potentially take tabs, which would clip on an industrial hubcap. But again, a weird looking rim. You see these things on 62 through 67 Mopar B bodies. And again, the big hubcap fits these. 68, the smaller hubcap doesn't fit, and vice versa. Now the rear axle in this thing is kind of interesting. You'd think it's an 8 3/4, but this actually has the 7 1/4, which is a small little axle. And when I say 7 1/4, we're talking about the ring gear diameter, 7 1/4 inches. Originally born for the 1960 Plymouth Valiant Slant Six Economy Compact. Well, from 1967 onward, the B bodies, when equipped with the Slant Six, and sometimes with the 318 or 273 two-barrel, got the little dinky 7 1/4 rear axle, not the 8 3/4. So we'll see a picture, an insert of that in a second here. But one thing that's kind of cool, this here is a 1965 Dodge dealer handout for Sure Grip differentials. Give your new Dodge better traction 365 days a year. And in the middle, we see standard differential, idle wheel, no pulling power. Sure Grip on the right, power is transferred to this wheel, gets you out of trouble. And inside of this thing, it's kind of cool. Reasons why, and it says here, women need Sure Grip, salesmen, farmers, doctors, and of course, up on the top, we have fleet vehicles, contractors and engineers, vacationers, boat owners, and these are all reasons for why you might want to buy the Sure Grip. But it goes further. Hunters, performance enthusiasts, that's us. It says, performance enthusiasts know that Sure Grip differentials help convert engine power into more rubber on the road. A Sure Grip differential helps provide steady positive traction for faster acceleration, etc., etc. And of course, utility men and emergency vehicles. So this is kind of a cool, rare little item. It's basically a Chrysler Motors handout telling people, salesmen, to sell Sure Grips. And the beautiful thing is that Sure Grips were cheap. $37 is all it cost to turn this 7 1/4 or the 8 3/4 into a 2-tire burning machine. And I remember I used to go to junkyards in California, and about 1 time out of 10 on an A100 van or D-series pickup truck, turn 1 tire, both would turn, get that diff. You could buy it for 40 bucks in a junkyard, sell it for $250 at the swap meet, make some money. That was cool. But Sure Grip differentials are a nice junkyard find when you find them, and you do. Now this one here, the quarter panel has been sliced away, unfortunately, but the deck lid is looking pretty good. Let's have a look underneath here. And yeah, classic New England rust. The spare tire well, gone. But one thing that's kind of interesting, the GG1 medium green metallic paint, or dark green metallic paint, we can see it still under the deck. And this here, B735, that tells the assembly line workers to put a black wall spare tire, 735/14, in that spot right there. I've seen roadrunners that say R for red line, but again, the black wall 735 Goodyear, probably power cushion tire, 14-inch, would have been right in that spot when this car was new. Another detail that's kind of interesting is that this body style only went 66 and 67, but to give it a new look, the end caps, these die-cast metal things right here, which go on the ends of the quarter panels, would allow different taillights and even a slightly different form to be added to the otherwise same panel. This one here has been smacked, but this one here is in pretty good shape. And the beauty of these is I think they're made of zinc. These never rust. I've never seen these things with holes or any kind of pitting. So these basically live on forever if they're not smashed by another car. So again, that's the story of this 1967 Dodge Coronet 440 four-door sedan, Slant Six, torque flight automatic, manual drums, 3-speed wipers. It's going to stay right here in the junkyard. I hate to say it. This one is terminal rust, and you know, the thing is, some of the parts on this are still decent for a restoration or a rebuild of another car, but I think this one's pretty much done right here at Bernstein Auto Wrecking. So to see more about the 67 Coronet 440 two-door, go back to yesterday's video and check it out, or stick around for tomorrow when we have a whole new video on a whole other car. Can't tell you what it is, but it'll be cool.